Hey guys, Jessica here. So today we're going to talk about the Elvie Stride 2. I have promised you guys this review for a couple weeks now. I've had it actually in my possession for several weeks and I've been farming it out to my local testers so that we can take a look at how this is actually performing because I love the original Elvie Stride. Love it. It's actually one of my favorite portable wearable pumps. I think the original Elvie Stride cups, which looked like this, I think these are some of the best cups that ever hit the market. Were there design flaws? Absolutely. But Elvie actually corrected some of their design flaws about 18 months to 2 years ago when they came out with the Elvie cushions. So Elvie Stride cups with these Elvie cushions, other than the fact that we had a limited number of sizing options for this, it was just 15, 17, and 19. For my moms within that range, which is actually the vast majority, these were performing excellent. You could pair them with a wide variety of different pumps. These were fantastic. So when Elvie released their new pump, and what I got out of the box was this, I was very hesitant. So I'm going to actually take this cap off so that I can show you more. But it does have a white cap that connects to the tubing. It's a little different than the current Elvie Stride cups that have been out there, or the originals. You only have two tubing positions here. So you have the cap that kind of presses in place. It actually is responsible for holding the diaphragm in place, and it pushes the tubing into one of these two channels. So when you're wearing it, it's either going to come out to the inside or out the outside of your body. Those are the only two ways you can route it. There's no way to like turn it so that it routes down like the original Elvie Stride tubing did. So these are just things to know. They did change quite a bit. The diaphragm does look pretty similar, but now it's integrated. So instead of having a separate little tab up here, your diaphragm and your tab to block the flow of milk from the cup are all together. Again, we have a very leak resistant, as close to leak proof as you can get from a system that has to have a vent. We do have another small air hole up here. I actually like the positioning on this a little bit better because I think it's going to have less of an issue with milk fat getting into that area, unless you are storing them with milk fat able to touch that top part. So you should be good with that. The duckbills are virtually the same. There's nothing new about that. The big difference is that the original Elvie Stride cups came in a 21, a 24, and a 28 millimeter. These come in a 28 millimeter, and then you get 24, 21, 19, 17, and 15 millimeter inserts. And the inserts, they're not very remarkable. It's the same complaint that I have with Mom Cozy, where these inserts are just not very long. And I do think that that's a problem because the average nipple actually needs about 5 to 7 millimeters more room. Now, Elvie is a lower suction, lighter suction pump. Like the suction pattern itself is very light and fluttery, so we don't see that we necessarily need quite as long of a tongue length. But I do think it means that we're going to not want to pair these cups with pumps like the Spectra Synergy Gold, pumps like the Baby Buddha. Pumpable Genie Advance is even kind of questionable because it is a longer pull than what we have on the Elvie, and I think we could very easily have tissue coming out the back end. So it does come with those inserts, which I do think is nice, but this is the only option. So if you are somebody who likes a very specific type of insert, you may have trouble with this cup because you're not going to be able to necessarily put it with it because this is a very shallow, very flat. I am going to pull out a cup. I want you to see these two cups together. So I have some theories on how Elvie went from a cup that I think with some minor tweaking could actually have like tossed a lot of the competition aside to this, which is just, new cup, same problems, some different problems. It's not really a massive improvement. It's not the type of innovation I would have expected from Elvie, given that Elvie used to be a very cutting-edge, innovative pump manufacturer. And I would say that their lawsuit with Freeme suggests that we're maybe not in that same stage with them anymore, because these cups appear to be an answer to how close can I get to a Freeme product. I am not actually convinced that these were not meant to exploit the Freeme patent. So for those of you who don't know, Freeme was one of the original wearable cup options. They were not the original, but they are one of the original, and they hold a patent on what they call a submergible duckbill that's able to function while actually submerged in the milk. Obviously, based on the number of cups that we have out on the market and the fact that they've been able to prosper for several years, it's really questionable how much of a claim Freeme has to it And if you read the patent, it really suggests that, with some very simple design modifications, you can actually get around the actual intellectual property that they own with their patent. So these cups have been really successful, and I have really liked them. I recommend them a lot. That low profile, and that is exactly what Elvie has achieved. They are remarkably similar, right down to Elvie made the tip of this flat, so when you wear it, you will actually see a circle in your shirt, which is kind of weird because looking at the actual physical structure of the cup, there's no need for that. There was no need for this flat spot right here. It could have been widened out. They could have done a lot of different things. It does allow it to sit like this, but if you do that, you can only do that with a little bit of milk in here before you're going to end up with a mess. So it doesn't really seem practical or necessary. It just feels like this cup was maybe kind of a strike back for the lawsuit. Obviously we can't prove that. I don't know what Elvie was thinking with this. I know that I'm going to have moms that are going to buy this because the Elvie reputation is still fairly strong, and typically what we see is that moms are latched onto what people who had babies 2 to 3 years ago are saying, because those are the moms who say that, I used it for XYZ and I was really successful. So the people who are currently pumping right now, that's not necessarily where moms are getting their advice. It tends to be from the moms who have kind of moved on to that next stage or are multiple time moms. And they're going to tell you that Elvie is great because Elvie has been a really good company. So when people recommend this, I don't think it's going to be quite the same. I don't think we're going to see the same love for this. Do I think people are going to like it? Yeah, it's not a terrible cup. It has some of the same design limitations as the Freebie. So we have a really flat flange, which is going to be hard for some people to use, especially if their breasts come to more of a point, or if their breasts are a little bit lower, maybe more tubular, we're going to have a hard time getting an air suction here. If you're somebody who does not do well with their inserts, we can have very limited options for you. We were able to find a couple insert options that worked. And that becomes really important because right here where this plastic actually attaches, let me take the silicone off. I don't like taking this silicone on and off. I find it kind of clunky. But if you look here, there's this plastic ring that the back of the silicone flange sits down into. That ring is right up against the silicone and it's really thin. There's very little padding there. One of the complaints that we got about Freebie cups is that they're too hard. That hard flat surface against the breast caused problems for people. So with this, we still have a hard flat surface pressing against the breast, except it's much more noticeable. I think more moms are going to have discomfort with that. So the best of what I had tested, obviously it was a limited group because I only had a couple weeks and a handful of people who were willing to help me out with this at this point. But Pumping Pretty inserts actually worked really well. So these were designed by a company called Save the Milk. She designed these for the original Elvie. You can see they have this nice little cutout, which is going to be a limitation of these inserts in that this is still a very short insert. But what this insert does differently is it's just as flat, but it actually provides a little bit of silicone padding because that taper that was designed to allow it to sit in the original Elvie flange actually works to butt up to that hard ring that we're trying to avoid and smooth it out. So these actually tested the best, and we do have these 13, 15, 17, 19, and 21. So I think that will cover a lot of people. My guess is that this is going to be the most popular insert with this. We were not able to take just a regular Elvie cushion and put it into the flange and have it be stable. We had a lot of issues with that. But what we were able to do is to take either the 24 and stack it. It did provide a little bit of issue, like if your breasts are a little bit more flexible, we had a little bit of issue with it trying to rock. 2 of my testers actually were able to take the 21 insert, and you have to get that really firm in there, and then you can push this in. You will have to check to make sure that there's no ripples. I think it's going to be a little bit of a high risk kind of way to handle it, but it could work for some people. So we can stack it, and then for people who have a really slow letdown or like a low output overall, so they're not getting a lot of milk at any time, you can use Freebie Slim's purple inserts. So these do actually fit. The challenge here is that these would lengthen the tunnel, which will be vital for some people. And they do actually provide a little bit of cushion against that hard ring, which I do like. But if you have a heavy milk flow, this is taking up enough space in the back that it's actually going to cause the duckbill to be too small to allow the flow of milk through fast enough. So you will have to be careful with this. there will be some trial and error with these cups. I think there's actually trial and error with the original Elvie too. We've always seen that Elvie required a little bit more finesse and troubleshooting than average. In terms of the motor though, the motor looks exactly the same, but it's not quite the same. They did increase the cycle speeds and increase the suction at the same time. So my moms who were trying to transition from a Spectra and were finding that the Elvie Stride just wasn't strong enough or fast enough, particularly if they liked slightly higher suction on the Spectra, they're going to have better luck with this. So this pump used to be about 60% success rate. I think we'll probably get it closer to 70 to 80% with the new motor settings. I think this motor paired with alternate cups, I think pairing them with Medela cups would be phenomenal for a lot of people who've been struggling to find a wearable option as they're leaving like the Spectra Synergy Gold, which is a really strong pump. And we've had a lot of issues getting moms away from the Spectra Synergy Gold when they want to move on to a portable or wearable. So I think the new Elvie Stride motor plus the Medela cups could be a really good option. And because those Medela cups are so beloved, we do kind of sometimes struggle because the Medela cups don't pair well with every motor, and not everybody wants a loud portable spec or Medela motor because it's too loud and it sounds like it's clacking and it gets on people's nerves. I don't hate their motors by any means. I do really like their freestyle, but we do get lots of complaints about that. This one continues to be one of the quietest pumps on the market. Let me see if I can turn it on so you can hear it. It's just super quiet, and when that air hole is plugged, it's just insanely quiet, which is really nice. And it is smart. It is a smart pump. It is app controlled. So for moms who want to put their pump in a fanny pack, for portables, we tend to recommend the Pumpables Genie Advance and the Baby Buddha as our top portable motors. This will actually, in my opinion, kick the Elvie Stride 2 motor up on to that like frequently recommended list. And it may be a solution for moms who are like, well, I want to use a portable, I want to use a fanny pack, but then I have to keep pulling it in and out to change settings. We should be able to have you use the Elvie Stride 2 motor. You'll just need to be able to access your phone while you're pumping in order to be able to change the settings. The Elvie Stride 2 motor does automatically change from stimulation to expression. It only stays on stimulation for 2 to 3 minutes. So you will need to be able to access the buttons when you're using it. It does still come with a little belt clip, but we've seen a lot of broken Elvie Strides over the years with this belt clip. It just hasn't been the most secure. Some people have moved on to using a lanyard with it, which I actually think is probably the safest way. A lanyard or a fanny pack are going to be the safest ways to use the portable. But overall, I don't hate the Elvie Stride 2. I actually think it's got a little bit of promise. I think Elvie may be more distracted by the Free Me lawsuit and maybe is producing something that's not necessarily what their consumers were asking for. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why they did some of the design choices that they did, other than it does seem like they're maybe striking back at Free Me. So you kind of got to decide how you feel about that. I'm not super happy to see that in a company that I once thought was really, really good, really innovative. And I was really hopeful that by now they would have kicked out something new and innovative, the same way they kicked out the Elvie original, the same way they kicked out the Elvie Stride. I really think they're long overdue to produce that next great thing if they want to stay one of the top brands. But they may have used up enough resources in this lawsuit that they may be on their way out. That's just the hard reality of the pump world right now, is it's oversaturated and all of these companies are running really slim profit margins. So it doesn't take much to have them get off track and then not be able to recover. So overall, definitely you could try the Elvie Stride 2 if you're looking for, if you had the Elvie Stride 1 motor. I don't know that they're going to continue the Elvie Stride 1. I hope they continue the cups. If Elvie discontinues the original cups completely, I think we should all just boycott them. Those were really good cups. They've been really good cups for years, and to potentially discontinue them and only give us the Elvie Stride 2 cups in return, like, mom should not be okay with that. That would not be cool with me. But if you are going to try the Elvie Stride 2 motor, I think you're going to really like it. I do think most people who are using the Elvie Stride 1 motor may actually see better results with the Elvie Stride 2 motor. Less moms will need to move to a different motor in order to get their output that they're looking for. I also think we've always had this issue with Elvie where you had to pump for about 35 to 40 minutes on average with the Elvie motors because of the light short suction. this actually was not taking quite as long. So 2 of my testers had used the Elvie Stride previously and didn't like it because of the long pump times. And they noted they were fully emptied at 30-35 minutes. So I do think we'll see an increase in success with that. Overall, the Elvie Stride 2 motor, I love it. I think this is a good step in the right direction. I think they made their motor better. The cups, I think they're a bit of a toss-up. I don't hate them. It's not that I hate them, so please don't take that away from this. But I just don't think that we needed another cup with severe limitations where we're going to have to tell people, I'm so sorry, those cups are just not going to work for you. You're going to need to go buy an additional cup. Because then when you add that to the price of the motor, you might have been better off just getting a different pump altogether. So I don't necessarily think this was like the best update they could have done. And I'm a little concerned when I see a company do something that looks like they're trying to mimic another, especially one that they were in a lawsuit with, because that feels like they're focused more on putting the other company in their place than doing right by moms and creating the products moms are asking for. And you just got to factor that in, is how you feel about that. What do you look at these cups and see? Do you think that that's what's going on? And if it is going on, do you care? It's okay to be like, whatever the pump companies are doing behind the scenes, it doesn't affect me. I'm just here to feed my baby. That's also completely fine. So just those thoughts to think about. I will have an updated blog with the differences. I'll have the setting charts so you can see the differences. And then I can't wait to hear how, as people are getting this, more feedback on how it's working so we can try and come up with even more solutions for the moms who have bought these cups to help them make them work. So hopefully that helps, and happy pumping.